Hello, and welcome back to Something to Noodle On. I'm your host, Mac, an average 30-something exploring the complex questions that keep us awake at night. Lately, I've been thinking about the concept of life on other planets, somewhere out there in the infinite cosmos. Not necessarily whether or not it exists, because it totally does, but what does it mean for our lives and our planet? If complex, intelligent life forms were to visit Earth, would we welcome them or launch an offensive attack against them? Or would the very discovery lead to a global existential crisis? Strap in, this is going to be a fun conversation that will give us plenty of something to noodle on. Mankind's ancient cultures recognized the importance of the night sky many, many moons ago. They noticed it was a constant state of change. Day to night, lunar phases, even the slowly shifting positions of the stars. Their observations led to some of the first measures of time, based on the patterns of movement they discovered and recorded. This led to greater understanding of our planet, from monthly ebbs and flows of the tides to the yearly changing of the seasons. It also led to the invention of some cool devices and instruments to aid in their research, from early Babylonian sundials to Galileo's telescope and more. As important as these developments are, there is so much more beyond that which we can see with the naked eye. It's hard to tell when the first human looked up at the night sky and thought, what's out there? We're natural explorers. Even our nomadic hunter-gatherer ancestors moved from place to place, stretching our peoples across the globe over hundreds of thousands of years. Part of it, of course, was trying to find areas to settle that were better suited for survival. Food, water, shelter, those basic human necessities have existed from the beginning. But our vast fear of the unknown also drives us as a species to search our surroundings and identify the creatures, places, and things that make up our environment. Space, however, the stars, the cosmos, the heavens, whatever you want to call it, has always been that final frontier, forever looming over us, mysterious and unreachable, despite its constant presence. Is it any wonder that the vast unknown kicks our imaginations into overdrive? Space-based science fiction seems to be growing in popularity every year, with some of the most recognizable franchises embracing the idea of alien civilizations interacting with one another, for better or for worse, with interstellar travel so advanced that we can cross light years in seconds. But will science fiction ever become our reality, or is mankind destined to be forever alone? But what does science say about the existence of life on other planets? I think it's safe to assume that most scientific theories of the cosmos view life on other planets as not a possibility, but more as a probability. Life is out there, we just haven't found it yet due to limitations in technology. But why are astronomers, astrophysicists, and anyone else with their eyes glued to the skies so certain that something or someone must be out there, despite evidence to the contrary? Back in the 1960s, an astrophysicist by the name of Frank Drake formulated what became known as the Drake equation. This equation offers an approximation of the number of civilizations in our own Milky Way galaxy that could be capable of intelligent communication based on known observations of the universe. The formation rates of stars and planets, the likelihood of favorable conditions for life to develop, and the time needed for advanced intelligence and technology to emerge are all factors considered by this equation. Given the massive size of our galaxy, these parameters are essential to reduce the number of potential civilizations to a figure that seems reasonable enough for humanity to research and explore. It's important to note, however, that nearly every part of the equation is based on data value estimations. So at best, the Drake equation can only give us a numerical range of possibilities. On the lower end, it's just us. Nobody else exists in the universe. But suggested calculations for higher values show an estimated 15.6 million potential civilizations out there just living it up in the Milky Way. Even if that number is overestimated by 99%, that would still leave us around 15,000 civilizations just waiting for us to knock on the door and introduce ourselves. For me, I don't know how it's possible to look at these numbers and not believe life is out there, whether that's intelligent life or not. To think we're the only ones in existence from here to infinity is the ultimate human hubris. Of course, the natural question to ask ourselves after this is, if even conservative calculations of the Drake equation show so many potential advanced interstellar neighbors, then where are they? Why haven't we found them yet? Have we just been playing an intergalactic game of hide and seek this whole time and nobody thought to tell us? I mean, have we checked behind Jupiter? There's always someone behind Jupiter. Jokes aside, scientists call this conundrum the Fermi paradox. And it's one of the most entertaining astronomical puzzles to theorize about. Sure, there are logical solutions to this puzzle, like how the universe is just so big and vast that even if there are millions of advanced civilizations out there, coming across one would be unfathomably rare. Or maybe they do exist, but their super advanced technological societies have created cloaking devices, keeping them so well hidden that they could be hanging out beside the moon or behind Jupiter, and we just don't know it. Or maybe life on this pale blue dot really is cosmically insequential, and greater beings simply don't register our existence important enough to say hi. I mean, think about it. We didn't even discover our own microcosmos teeming with bacteria and other microscopic life forms until 350 years ago. It's not as big of a leap as it sounds. Anyway, if you take anything at all away from this podcast today, please let it be that everything is possible until proven otherwise. And even then, you should probably double check just to be sure. Despite the uncertainties, mankind is still doing what it can to develop the technology to see and visit what's out there beyond our orbit. And we've been at it for centuries. The first telescopes were invented in 1608. And in all that time before that, we had eyes. We could see for ourselves what was out there, though our view was relatively limited. But even the ancient Egyptian astronomers were able to record accurate star charts over 3,000 years ago based on visual observation alone. I'm sure the lack of light pollution also helped with that, but the fact still remains the same, which is really stinking cool. I just love space so much. Although space exploration is quite new compared to the earlier astronomical studies, mankind's innovative curiosity has brought us a long way already. The first official man-made satellite launched in 1957, which was the Soviet Union's Sputnik 1. 12 years later, in the summer of 1969, American astronaut Neil Armstrong became the first man to walk on the Earth's moon. And in the year 1971, we saw the launch of the Soviet Union Salyut 1, the world's first low Earth orbit space station. And since then, a vast range of unmanned space probes have been sent to observe our solar system and beyond. In fact, just a few short years ago, planet Earth was presented with the ultimate Christmas gift on December 25th, 2021. NASA's James Webb Telescope lifted off and began its noble mission to deliver high-definition infrared observations of the cosmos, bringing us closer than ever to the beginning of time. As neat as all these instruments are, they do suffer from a significant drawback. They take a long time to develop before launching. The team for the James Webb Telescope, for example, started development on the telescope in 1996. Construction and assembly didn't happen until 2005 and went until 2016, and then followed its completion with 5 years of testing before launching in 2021. That's 25 years in the making we're talking about here. Granted, science moves fast in 25 years here in the information age, but to put it into perspective, in 1996, we were still shaking photos from our Polaroid cameras. And now we have full color, high resolution, professional quality cameras on our phones. And compared to the age of the universe, 25 years isn't much. But compared to the human lifespan, 25 years is a significant chunk. An astronomer could spend a third of their life on one project, only to have its results analyzed and interpreted by future generations of researchers. While our current rate of discovery is amazing, it's possible that even if life does exist out there, we're unlikely to find it anytime soon. Especially if we are determined to operate a manned mission to a rendezvous point in a different star system. A journey of that scale would take multiple self-sustaining generations of scientists. And it's possible that when their descendants arrive hundreds or even thousands of years later, they wouldn't be anything like the original humans who bravely set course for the stars. Conditions in space are harsh. After 1,000 years of space travel, we very well could look like Cassandra from Doctor Who. Thin and stretched out, bitchy trampolines in constant need of moisturizing. I already kind of feel like I'm there, if I'm being honest, because we love a nighttime skin routine. Anyway, humans are nothing if not hopeful. Despite the near impossible chance that we will stumble across alien beings before the second coming of Christ, we're hell-bent on scanning the heavens for any sign of otherworldly life. We're also banking on the possibility that other advanced civilizations are actively searching too. If you've never heard of the SETI Institute, that's SETI Institute, these guys are the pioneers in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, which is what SETI stands for. They're a nonprofit organization wholly dedicated to the search for intelligent life beyond our solar system. And they've spearheaded some really awesome projects. Of course, it all started with the original SETI program at NASA, a project designed to build equipment that would search for proof of intelligent life by scanning for radio signals, listening via large antennas, and hoping to intercept manually produced radio communications from around the cosmic neighborhood. So, any super intelligent shades of the color blue that might be out there looking for us, just know we're listening. We've also sent out our interstellar message in a bottle, just in case you end up in our quadrant. If you come across a Voyager probe, crack it open and listen to the golden record phonograph inside. This is the story of life on Earth, and we share it in hopes that you will deem us worthy of not being hunted to extinction. If the story of the Voyager inspires you, there's a really cool documentary on Netflix about the making of the Voyager and launching it into space. It's called The Farthest, and it's worth checking out if it's something you're into. Especially because you'll learn why those scientists who made the Voyager are actually super cheeky, and I love it. Okay, now that we've covered the science, forget everything you've just learned about improbabilities and technical limitations, because the really important stuff is coming up. What happens if we do find extraterrestrial life? Or, if they find us first? It has been said that the pride of humanity will be its downfall. We're so used to being the masters of the universe that I wonder if we honestly have the capacity to share it with other beings. I mean, we can barely handle sharing our own planet with each other. I think we would probably be okay as people if we find bacterial life on some distant exoplanet, whether or not it's related to the bacteria here on Earth. Maybe even creatures that we'd considered unintelligent beasts or pets or livestock animals, but who knows? We might stumble across a particularly cute and friendly breed of space cows out there, but as for beings with intelligence, I can definitely see us trying to establish dominance right from the get-go. Do we need to be the only ones in the universe, or at least the only ones on top? For as curious as we may be about alien civilizations, proof of the existence of life on other planets could launch the peoples of Earth into a shared global existential crisis. I think this is especially true if you subscribe to a worldview that doesn't allow for the existence of intelligent beings outside of the human race. Many of our world religions recognize only a supreme deity or creator who breathed life into existence. What we have here on Earth is all that has been made and will be made. To believe something like this is so very absolute, only to find out everything you've ever come to know about the origins of life is wrong. It would be absolutely reality shattering. It's why those of us who know we're in the Matrix don't tell the rest of you the Matrix has you until you're ready. We don't want your minds to melt. And this line of conversation isn't meant to disrespect anyone's religious beliefs. But isn't it possible that both God and aliens can exist? According to the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, the Christian Bible doesn't mention aliens. But it also doesn't say they can't exist. Isn't the belief that God has only put his energy and focus onto mankind just another form of the hubris we already spoke about? Maybe keeping an open mind is the only way to prevent any sort of total breakdown from occurring, should the aliens ever pop in to say hi. On the other side of that, what about religions, cultures, and mind frames that not only believe in aliens, but base their doctrines and teachings around them? Take the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, for example. My high school had kids teeming with this ideology, mainly because its basis is that homework shouldn't exist, so therefore by doing homework would be going against their religion. Teachers didn't buy it, but we often tend to write these kinds of organizations off as cults. But I imagine proof of intelligent life outside of Earth would be an enlightening experience for them. Talk about validation. They could be the epitome of an "I told you so" moment. Scientists, of course, and likely UFO conspiracy theorists as well, would also welcome the discovery with open arms. It could keep our minds busy for generations to come. Regardless of where you put your faith, whether in God or science or some combination thereof, the impact of discovering life elsewhere in the universe will stretch the limits of human understanding. Can we even handle it? Okay. Instead of right or wrong, let's examine this from another angle. How about war versus peace? Thinking back to the Drake equation, our search for extraterrestrial life is primarily focused on not just finding any old life out there, but rather on finding advanced civilizations with the ability to communicate. My big question is, even if they can communicate, what promise is there that we'll even understand what they have to say? We don't have the Babelfish from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or the TARDIS from Doctor Who to translate alien languages for us. If there's no way for us to communicate, how can we know what their intentions are? It kind of reminds me of the movie The Arrivals. Alien beings come to Earth to teach us a new language and way of thinking. And how does America respond? Well, the most American way possible, by sending the military after them. Of course, they aren't scared away by our tactics, but the message still holds true for how I think the world would respond to extraterrestrials touching down on our planet. "We come in peace" is an Earth saying. We can't be naive enough to believe that the sentiment is literally universally shared by every other civilization that might be out there. We all know science fiction creature features more often than not paint aliens in a negative light. Movies, TV shows, comic books, otherworldly villains have shown up in our stories for hundreds of years, and they're all too frequently portrayed as bloodthirsty monsters, parasites, or some other big nasty. Whether we find them first or they find us, they instantly view us as an enemy that needs to be eradicated. If you think the prospect of World War is terrifying, imagine interplanetary space wars. And sure, a lot of this comes from fear of the unknown or our imaginations trying to come up with the worst possible scenarios, so we're not taken by surprise when it inevitably happens. But it's not an unreasonable concern. Do you think we as a planet have the power to fight back against ill-intentioned entities? Or will our heaviest guns and ammo look like children's toys in the face of advanced alien weaponry? If they are advanced enough to get to us, then surely their artillery is advanced enough to eradicate us. It's a scary thought. I, however, prefer to maintain hope for peaceful contact with our new alien neighbors or friends. Just think. How much could we advance our own planet by learning from passive races of superior beings who just want to spread their knowledge of the universe? Perhaps that's just a fanciful thought as vicious space monsters come to end humanity in a fearsome blaze. But it's certainly the more favorable pole of the two potential outcomes, right? With any luck, we'll find ourselves somewhere in the middle, similar to how we function on this planet already. Some good groups, some bad groups, and the eternal wish for universal peace and the sharing of the abundant riches of the cosmos with everyone. The more I think about it, though, the sadder I am to realize that if humanity is someday part of an advanced network of planets and races existing harmoniously, I won't be around to see it. My hope then, I suppose, is for the future and for fate to be kind to humanity. One thing's for sure, though, technology in the age of intergalactic relations will have to be so flipping awesome. Science fiction movies and books like to gloss over the logistics of space travel, inventing new ways to zip among the stars or designing multifunctional spacecraft is so much more fun than trying to devise some scientifically accurate as possible explanation of how alien civilizations are able to visit one another with such relative ease and speed. As we mentioned earlier, the technology we currently have for exploration is quite limited and sadly isn't capable of faster than light interstellar travel. At this rate, for the first contact to happen in our lifetimes, they'd have to come to us. But yo, how pimped out do you think their rides would be? We like to think of UFOs with flashing lights performing crazy aerial maneuvers before sucking up old Bessie the cow in a tractor beam. But the actual technology required to visit from outside our solar system would probably be thousands of times more sophisticated than that. If anything, this just increases the hope that the first civilization to pay us a visit turns out to be peaceful and willing to share their knowledge instead of vaporizing us on sight. Life as we know it here on Earth would completely change. I think we would see instant improvement in all areas of our lives thanks to whatever technology a civilization capable of space travel has developed. Imagine the leaps and bounds in medicine, education, even entertainment like movies and video games. I know we're all still waiting for a Jetson-style flying car, but what I'd really want to see is fast travel. Imagine being able to snap your fingers or whatever magic the technology uses and be in Mexico. No more wasting an entire day traveling to your destination. Heck, let's not think so small. Imagine intergalactic vacations. The views and hikes from other planets, I'm sure, are absolutely incredible. Oh, and how I'd love to travel to somewhere few humans have ever been. Seeing something that only so few beings have laid their eyes on makes it so much more special. So, most of our speculation so far is based on the idea that first contact will happen someday in the future. But do you think it's possible that other civilizations have possibly already visited us? Like, maybe we're living in a Men in Black universe where aliens have not only already visited, but actually walk amongst us as our neighbors, our coworkers, or even as well-known celebrities. We already have proof that celestial objects have passed through our solar system, like the 2017 discovery of the Oumuamua interstellar space object. At least one astrophysicist supported the theory that this temporary visitor was alien technology and not just some rocky space debris. Could there be more evidence? I don't mean to go all ancient aliens on us, but there are several Earth mysteries that suggest the possibility that aliens have already been here and maybe haven't left. Stonehenge in England, the Moai statues on Easter Island, the Nazca lines of Peru, even the Great Pyramids. It has been speculated that the building of all these structures has been influenced by visitors from other planets. But why? Is it because we lack the historical records required to understand how these monuments could have been built by primitive Earth civilizations based on the known technological limits of the time? Sure, historians and scientists have their ropes and roller theories to explain how prehistoric peoples managed to lift and carry heavy stones and statues. But without solid evidence, they can't say with certainty how our ancestors achieved these feats of strength without modern technology or know-how. Maybe attributing these constructions to visitors from other worlds is a lazy approach, but we can't in good faith dismiss it as a possibility altogether. It would just make too much sense. If visitors from other planets have indeed been here, they'd want to leave their mark, right? After all, the United States has planted a total of 6 flags on the moon. If that's not a calling card, I'm not sure what is. I, for one, believe aliens have been to our planet in the past to help these civilizations progress to where we are now. Ancient stories passed down from generations seem to tell the tales we as a society refuse to believe are true. But what if they were? I mean, we see writings on the wall and other historical depictions of aliens all over the world. If anyone listening in right now is a Doctor Who fan, they've probably seen pictures of that ancient cave painting from Utah circa 5000 BC that looks oddly similar to the Doctor's time-traveling spacecraft, the TARDIS. Why the Doctor would have chosen to visit that particular time and space is beyond me, but it looks as though he had made a big impression. There are lots of other examples of artwork from human prehistory that depict strange, seemingly otherworldly beings, such as the 9,000-year-old spirit figures found in the American Southwest and the ancient rock paintings in the Sharama region of India that look eerily similar to the aliens and UFOs you would expect to find in a Bollywood film. The real question is, are these based on actual encounters or just figments of the artist's imaginations? It's easy to write these images off, blaming their exaggerated portrayals of human beings on the art tools and techniques of the time. But if that's true, then why do these types of paintings often include accurate depictions of birds and other animals? Is it more logical to say that early humans were just bad at drawing other humans, despite being able to recreate other beings just fine? Or that these drawings are indeed based on lived experiences? Of course, no discussion about finding life on other planets would be complete without mentioning our vast catalog of UFO sightings and the holy grail of alien encounters, the Roswell incident. There have been so many reports of humans witnessing strange aircraft with flashing lights performing physically impossible aerial maneuvers that it's become somewhat of a joke. Close encounters, alien abductions, these are all the tales of the mentally unwell. It makes you wonder, Are all these people really delusional, or is there some other compelling force at play that wants us to believe that these are ridiculous stories because the truth is meant to be hidden from us? I'm sure most of us are familiar with the Roswell incident. The official story is that in July of 1947, a military weather balloon crashed into a field near Roswell, New Mexico, and the Air Force was sent in to cover it up. Clean up metallic and rubbery debris from the wreckage. The off-the-book theory, however, purports that this supposed balloon debris was actually the shattered pieces of an alien spacecraft, and not only that, bodies were recovered. Alien bodies. Despite eyewitness accounts and interviews with anonymous insider personnel confirming the fantastic, the United States Air Force maintains that the downed craft was a surveillance balloon from a top-secret nuclear test, and not anything that originated outside of our home planet. I'm just saying they've gone through a lot of trouble to discount the conspiracy theories and have us believe it was just some innocuous means of transporting measurement devices. There's a lot more to Area 51 than they're letting on. It seems pretty sus if you ask me. Before we go, there is one other serious matter I'd like to discuss, and that is that the only logical explanation to the existence of the octopus is that they originated elsewhere and somehow found their way here. This is not mere conjecture. It is based on a study published in the journal Progress in Biophysics and Molecular Biology that claims that these unexplainably crafty creatures hitched a ride on a meteor and landed in the Earth's oceans. The most compelling piece of evidence to support this is that octopus DNA, and the very thing which determines their development, function, and growth, is not easily found in any other pre-existing life form on Earth. This makes them so unique that it's just more logical that they originated elsewhere than they evolved side by side with Earth's animal life. Not to mention, the biological features of the octopus seem to have randomly, independently popped up on Earth's evolutionary timeline, even outside the Cambrian explosion, which saw the sudden onset of complex life and major diversification of species. Plus, these guys are heckin' smart. They can break out of aquariums and find their way back to the ocean. They can squeeze themselves through openings that would make cats jealous. They can twist the lids from jars, whether they're inside them or outside of them. They can even make tools from debris found on the sea floor, and can perform so many more astonishing feats to say that they originated on Earth would actually do them a disservice. Hey, believe what you want, but don't be surprised when we finally start settling on other planets and find that the humble octopus has already established itself there. Well, that pretty much wraps up this episode. I hope you thought it was out of this world and we gave you something to noodle on. Also, thank you for allowing ND and I to dive into something a little different. We often discuss heavy topics and we needed a little break to let our brain wander into the depths of space. We usually like to end the show by giving you something else to noodle on. So for this week, think about what life on another planet would entail. Would it be similar to Earth, completely different? What do you think life elsewhere even looks like? Join the conversation on our Discord or follow us on Twitter at @apodtonoodleon. Until next week, bye!